Back in 2013, the sun had set on my time at university. I was finally free of the shackles of education, homework, and rules. So I packed everything I owned into the back of my best friend's dad's car, with a kiss from my mum and a hug from my dad, and the immortal lyrics of Bruce Springsteen in my ears. I was off to a city over 200 miles away. I was off to York. Everything was laid out. Had a house with 4 great guys, including my best friend, a new job, and more importantly, a blank page, an opportunity to start again. However, the silent assassin of mental health was lurking just around the corner, ready to raise its evil head. I've always felt a loneliness, even when I'm around people. When I was a kid, I didn't really think anything of it. And growing up, I put it down to being introverted. When I was 4, my brother sadly passed away. He was 7 at the time. I realise now how much of an impact this has had on my life, but for years I buried away those feelings. When I moved to York, it was my first time away from home. I realise now I was trying to escape my problems. The longer I spent in the city, the more my mental health deteriorated. Grey clouds began to form over me, and I couldn't think clearly. I felt an enormous weight upon my shoulders, physically dragging me down. Darkness surrounded everything I did, and I felt no joy from anything. The demons from my past had followed me the 200 miles. I began to indulge in the student lifestyle more and more, convincing myself I was having fun, but in reality I was simply trying to escape. I was out clubbing one night, surrounded by my friends, many of whom I'm still very close with, but I was the loneliest I'd ever felt. I couldn't hear anything that was going on. My mind was consumed with darkness. I ran out of the club and into the street. I found a doorway, away from everybody else and the crowds, and I broke down. After that I blacked out, one of the only times this had ever happened in my life. The next morning I woke up in bed. I couldn't put into words how low I felt. I remember staring at myself in the mirror and not recognising the person staring back. It was the first and only time in my life I felt I was in real trouble. I headed back home a week later for a friend's birthday. I again got on the drink and pretended I was having fun. But midway through the night, the same thing happened. I ran out the club and broke down. Fortunately, one of my best friends, Chris, was there with me and he consoled me. I'm forever grateful that he was there, and as someone that suffers from mental health issues himself, I know he understands. I decided to come home not long after. I had nothing against the city or any of the friends I'd made. It was all my own demons that drove me home. I began to get together my life, and he even moved to Brighton. However, another loss in the family triggered all the feelings of grief once again. My flatmate at the time moved away, and I moved into a bedsit on my own. The more time I spent in the bedsit, the more my mental health deteriorated once again. I would spend all night out partying and drinking, sleeping off the majority of the next day. I was falling into a trap, and once again, darkness consumed everything. This time was different though. I knew I had to do something. I knew I no longer wanted to live in this darkness. There was a world out there waiting for me. If I could just reach out and go after it. I took an old pair of trainers out of my cupboard and put them on. It was dark and cold outside and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Something had awoken in me. I felt an urge pushing me out the door. It was almost physical. I took a deep breath and headed out into the cold. I set off for a 2-mile run, almost coughing up a lung halfway round, but with each step I felt the darkness drain away and my life returned to me. Immediately after that run, I signed up for a 10k and decided to raise money for the National Kidney Foundation in honour of my uncle. It was the first time I'd been involved in a mass participation event, and I was hooked. Since then, running has taken over my life. I have run countless 5 and 10Ks. I've even joined a running club and set up my own blog. I have truly found my passion in life. But in 2019, it's time for the ultimate challenge. In 2019, it's time for me to take on the marathon, to push myself further than I thought possible, and finally shake off the suffering that has surrounded me my whole life. On the 20th of October this year, I take on the Yorkshire Marathon for the mental health charity Mind. I'm just a normal guy, a guy who got tired of living in darkness. Since I've discovered running, I see beauty where I couldn't see any before. The things you're looking for in life aren't on your phone or social media, they're in the memories you create with the people you love. You've got to get up and face the world with your shoulders back. In spite of the great losses I have suffered, I'm blessed to have my health and know so many amazing people. Sometimes it takes something awful for you to realise what you do have. So take time out to reflect on all the good you've done and all the good you have left to do. But most importantly of all, remember, life can be a struggle, but when you step out into the world and follow your dreams, it suddenly becomes not such a bad place. Whatever you're going through in life, however bleak it may seem, I promise you, you will find joy again. With the right help, you can go out and achieve things you never thought possible. On the 20th of October this year, I returned to the city where I fell down. But I got back up, and I'm coming back stronger. On the 20th of October, I run for all the people suffering out there. On the 20th of October, I pour my heart and soul into transcending the suffering of mental health. On the 20th of October, I run the Yorkshire Marathon with everything I've got. On the 20th of October, together we can help beat mental health. Thank you to my supportive friends and family, without whom none of this would be possible. And thank you to those of you watching for your continued support in beating mental health.